Yo, how's it going, guys? Let's talk about locks today. I mean, the security for your bikes. I will show you which locks do I have, how do I use them to make my bike secure, and what my advice would be to you to keep your bike safe. I live in the Netherlands. It's quite common here to have bikes. People use them all year long. And of course, people should take care about security for their bikes. So I know something about it. Fun fact though, in the Netherlands, majority of the bike thieves are actually stealing the bikes while they're not locked. So I have a couple of friends and they got their bikes stolen only because they didn't lock it at all. I mean, yeah, seriously, people just get bored, they don't use locks, so they come to a store, they leave it outside the bicycle, and they come back and they cycle home. 9 of the 10 times it actually works, the bike is safe, but 1 time out of 10 it's stolen. Believe me or not, the safest way to protect your bicycle, at least lock it. Let's find out what kind of locks out there, what kind of locks I personally use, and what's the differences between them. So first, most common kind of lock is a simple steel cord lock, and there are various kind of those. There are more expensive ones, there are cheaper options, but of course don't buy cheaper option often. You can just simply pull the bike hard enough and the cheapest lock will just break by itself. There are also options with the code, and there are options with the key. What is the more secure? I don't know, to be honest. I think they are equally secure. So that simple lock, it's relatively cheap and not very secure, but if you leave your bike for a short period of time, this is enough to use just this one. Second kind of lock is chain. Pretty much the same as the cord, but here we have chain. Can be different kinds of ones, can be different kinds of locks, can be with the key, can be with numeric code. A little bit heavier than the cord ones, but also a little bit more secure. I personally like the cord one, and this one more heavy, and yeah, I don't see a reason for myself using one of those. Also more expensive ones will be more heavy and from the higher grade metal. This is the cheaper one. The lock is pretty cheap. I think if you smash it with a hammer it will break. Yeah, at least it will not tear itself if you just pull your bike. Third type of lock is so-called folded lock, I guess. So this is Abus Bordeaux in this case. Pretty secure lock actually. Also quite heavy, but on the positive side it's quite compact. It also goes with a shell that can be attached to your bike frame. It's actually pretty minimalistic but heavy. I don't like personally to be attached to the bike because when you ride it, then it jiggles. So I really hate it. I also don't like a lot of stuff hanging on my bike, so I don't use it. So how it works? So it opens like this, you can pull it out, and well, it unfolds and it goes like, yeah, pretty much any lock. So it consists from several pieces of metal that are hold to each other using special technologies. So these are actually quite hard to cut through, so that's why it's pretty secure. It's also quite expensive one, so this one can cost you from 40 to 60 euros depending on the material and manufacturer. In generally, I do advise it. What I don't like is the way how it looks on my bicycle. The U-lock, the most safest way to lock your bike to anything. So this is a quite beefy one. This one in particular is Abus Granite G540, something like this. It's the safest lock from Abus. Well, that's what they say themselves. But there are also various options of those ones. There are quite cheap options for U-locks for like, I don't know, 10-15 euros. This one costs like around 60. And what's the difference between cheap and expensive U-lock? First of all is the material of the lock. In this case it's quite expensive steel, which is really hard to cut through. In the cheaper one it can be even aluminium stuff, which can be very easily broken. Second difference is the way how it attaches to this base. In this particular case you have independently two locks, or basically you lock this piece in two places using one key, but it locks in two places. So if you cut through it, it's still kind of attached to the base, so you need to do two cuts to have your bike free. In the cheaper options, you only have it locked from the one side, so you can only cut it once, and then the second side will be free to move and you can get your bike out. The third thing that differentiates the cheap lock from expensive one is how protected the base is. So this one has a really thick cover of a plasticky shell around the base. So if you smash it really hard with a tough hammer, I guess, then it shouldn't break in theory compared to the cheaper ones. So this is, I think my favorite lock when I use it, but I don't use it because it's very heavy and very uncomfortable to wear, right? You cannot put it anywhere on the frame. There are some mounts that can help you mount U-locks inside of the frame. So it stands like this in the middle of the frame, which is super ugly. Again, it's super heavy and jiggly during your ride. A lot of people wearing those locks on the belt, but it's also pretty heavy for your belt. So in my case, I was also taking this lock in my backpack, but I don't do this anymore because for me personally, using this lock is way more convenient because it's just so lighter and easier to use. However, it depends on scenario, when, where, and for how long you're actually leaving your bicycle. So if you need to leave your bicycle unattended for a day or two, then yeah, I would definitely go with this one. Perhaps not only this one, but also this one. So I would use two locks. This one I would lock the rear wheel and the frame to something unmovable, and this lock I would use to lock the front wheel to something unmovable. In my case, majority of the cases I'm just going to the grocery store for like 20-30 minutes, and this lock is enough. Again, in the Netherlands, majority of the bike thievery is happening because bikes are just not locked. So if I lock with the simplest lock, it works for me. Which locks do you guys use with your bicycles? Do you also use just this one and it's safe enough for you, or you go with beefy options? Let me know.